Coming up, tonight, what a life, what a legacy, remembering Dame Deborah James. Deborah died peacefully, surrounded by her family. We talked to one Londoner who says listening to Deborah's podcast may just have saved her life. Also tonight. Good evening. It is difficult to say just how many lives Deborah James helped to save, but there is little doubt that without her candid posts about her own diagnosis and treatment for bowel cancer, some would not be here today. The former teacher discovered she had the disease back in 2016 and ever since made it her mission to raise as much awareness as possible. Her podcast, You, Me and the Big C, reached millions of listeners. Her campaigning raised millions for charity. Her family say the 40-year-old passed away peacefully and that she shared her journey to break down barriers and challenge taboos. And as Carolyn Sim reports, she did it all with a smile and even a dance. Oh, Dame Deborah's words are raising awareness once more at the end of that report from Carolyn Sim. Well, if you go to Deborah's fundraising page, you can see that tonight it stands just under £7 million, an incredible amount of money. But as we've been hearing, it was Deborah's campaigning that really raised awareness about bowel cancer, encouraging people to look out for the signs. Well, joining us now is Teresa Whitfield. You had bowel cancer. You've been clear for 3 years now?
Yes, 3 years.
But you were misdiagnosed at first, weren't you? It was actually, you saw Deborah talking on telly.
I did.
And that made you get a second opinion. What happened?
Yeah, I was...
The doctor initially thought it was piles.
Yeah, the doctor saw me.
You got the diagnosis, the correct diagnosis, and you started treatment straight away, I assume.
Yeah. So if...
Isn't it? Because we heard, you know, Deborah's final words on her podcast, some of her last words, didn't we? And, you know, she said... just a really simple message, check your poo.
Absolutely.
And people don't want to talk about it because they're squeamish. They don't want to talk about that end of things at all, do they? But it's so important. And she did break down those barriers, didn't she? Would you say that, you know, in a sense, she may have just saved your life?
She did, without a shadow of a...
Continues Deborah's legacy. Would just get us all talking about it a bit more. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, there will, of course, be more on Dame Deborah and an inspirational story on the ITV News, which continues at 6:30. Here's Mary. Next from us, the day after the Metropolitan Police were put into special measures today, politicians argued about who was to blame, the government or City Hall. As for who will take over as Commissioner, well, the Mayor revealed he and the Home Secretary were not even able to interview candidates together at the same time. Meanwhile, the Met Police Federation boss, who represents rank and file officers, says poor pay is leading to poor recruitment and experienced officers are leaving in their droves. Sam Holder reports. The family of Zara Alina have paid tribute to her, describing her sparkling eyes and glorious laugh. They called her death unimaginable. Zara was attacked as she walked home in Ilford in the early hours of Sunday morning. Today, a man appeared in court charged with her murder. Rags Martel reports. Judges at the Court of Appeal have ruled that the High Court should reconsider the case of 12-year-old Archie Battersby. Still to come on the programme. But first, a group that call themselves the Tyre Extinguishers have been letting down tyres of SUVs all over the country in a targeted campaign to force them off our roads. They are climate protesters and they believe 4x4s are too harmful to the environment. But car owners say it's criminal damage. Well, Antoine Allen's been to Crouch End, where 30 vehicles were attacked in one night, including a car parked in a disabled bay. Some other news. Transport for London's £60 million cable car is looking for a new sponsor after its 10-year agreement ended with Emirates. TfL. A man who appeared to collapse and fall under an overground train in East London was pulled to safety after a woman raised the alarm by shouting for help. The dramatic moment. The world's longest-running comic, Beano, has crowned a school in Hertfordshire as Britain's funniest class. Well, our main story in London this evening in tribute. With sport now and turning to Wimbledon, and it's been a disappointing afternoon for our hopefuls, the British #1. Now, you think of tennis and your mind probably wanders to strawberries and cream. Well, it is strawberry picking season, so Sally's been helping herself on a farm in Enfield. Sally, I hope you're picking some for the rest of us. Oh, thank you, Sally. Well, finally, George Westron had a passion for art. When he sadly died during lockdown, all of his artwork was thrown out from his Spitalfields flat by bailiffs clearing his home. But thanks to the efforts of his neighbour Alan, the works were rescued. He then posted them online and the reaction has been huge. Martin Stew reports. And that is all for now. I am back with the latest after ITV News at 10. Coming up, Mary with the ITV Evening News. But from me and the rest of the London team, bye-bye.